Sometimes I act as if I'm never satisfied. The reason is because, for the most part, I'm not satisfied. I'm not satisfied because of things that I desire and can't. That brings about dissatisfaction. I'm not satisfied when I understand that things are happening that don't have to happen. I'm not satisfied when I understand that people don't understand, and the problems that we experience are problems that we create ourselves, and the answers that we pursue are with us all the time. I sit here and I talk about peace and prosperity and freedom and joy in our lives. I talk about our dreams coming true. I believe in that stuff. I believe that the things that you want, desire for your survival, and all those other things like food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, infrastructure, and all those things that you can imagine, that your mind come up with and your hands can find a way to build, and it builds, and the people desire and want, and they play a part in the production thereof, then all of the things that you see belongs to the people of the country. When you look at it, if you looked out and you saw all the beautiful homes, if they belong to the people of this nation. If you looked out and saw the automobiles and they belong to the people of this nation. When you saw all of the infrastructure, saying the beautiful signs, the beautiful parks, the lakes, the rivers, and you think about they're maintained this way because it's the desire of the people of this country. When you look around and you don't see any poverty, you don't see any crime, you don't see any violence, you don't see any terror and guns and fear and hatred and racism, and you say this is because the lifestyle that you've chosen to live. When you think about that kind of stuff, you ask yourself, what people would not want to live this way? You would say, well, the people that would not want to live this way are people who don't know anything about this way of life. People who don't believe in it because they heard something so opposite to it, and it's very difficult for them to believe it. And people who just so incensed on going a different kind of way, they might not. But other than those, everybody else would want to live this way of life. And if you want to live this way of life, and you took the steps to say evidently that you want to live this way of life, then those who have been kind of stepping and wading in the water could make a choice and decide perhaps to make a full step. I'm thinking about you and my immediate family, how we could be living. But we don't live this way. I'm thinking about in America right now, they want to install a king. Many of you might not understand. You might think that's a joke. Get on your news and look up in, let's say, Sri Lanka someplace and see they're trying to install a king over there. A king, a monarch. I mean, just think about it. Changing the way things are done. Let me ask you something. Something else is going on around the world. There are people that's hungry. They're talking about food problems. They're talking about resources that are being denied. I'm going to ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. Let's say the markets that are set up to make sure that there can be trade and people all across the globe can get a chance to eat. Now, you think that people right now really care about folks across the globe and that they do these things to make sure that people can eat and that people can survive. Well, that might have been a good thought in the beginning, and that is the old and the only thought for food, is that people can all over the earth eat. People work to produce it, the resources are there, and nobody goes hungry. But the motivation for food, trade, and stuff like that is the same as it is in your country and in your city. Money. No money, no food. And when the money, if food gets short, I got to get more money. So it's not about taking care of you. It's about the money. And what does money mean? That means me. Who got the money? Me. Not Eddie Marcus. But you know what I mean. Who got the money? That's selfishness. It's all about selfishness. You look the richest man on earth, people walk around them, oh, he's the richest man on the earth. And that's the most selfish man on earth. But they're praising him because they've been taught to praise that stuff that is destructive to us all. That's why when I come to you talking about the things that I talk about, and you know deep down in the heart you want them, but you can't believe that's going to happen. So this joker here talking to you like this got to be crazy and think you crazy. Don't believe something like this. Well, that's the way they want it to be. But ladies and gentlemen, in everything that I'm talking about right now, and everything that I'm going through and everything that you're going through, if you're living here in America and a lot of other places, I understand there's some troubles going on all around the world. But if you turn your TV on or your social media on and you see some shots from videos from China, you thank God every day that you're not there. Because in China, according to what is being put over the airwaves, it's devastating. I mean, these floods, my brothers, floods, and people are drowning. People are sitting in their living rooms, I guess, and are sitting around or doing whatever they do. And all of a sudden, here flood waters come rushing down on them. Why? Because you got to divert the water from one location, which you consider being important. Maybe it has to do with agriculture. Maybe it has to do with who lives over there. But over here, well, you can sacrifice this, so all of a sudden, here comes water. And next thing you know, water's up on the first floor, second floor. You on the top, just sitting on the roof, hoping somebody come by to pick you up. And nobody even telling you what's going on. Why? They say they don't want you to know. They say, like they want... In America, well, let's deal with China. They say in China, you only get the state report. Whatever the state wants you to hear, that's what you hear. So they don't want you to know that the dams are not sufficient enough to do what they were said that they were supposed to do. They don't want you to know that the problems that they thought they had mastered, they have not mastered. They don't want you to know that. So they tell the people that it's raining. Oh, it's a lot of rain. And it is done a lot of rain. But apparently it's raining in some places where it's not raining in others. And so that's why this water is just building up and it's coming down on these people. They won't even tell them about the dams, according to the reports that I'm getting. They won't even tell them what's going on. There's no dam, there's no floods that's going on. There's just some little natural disasters happening. And that's what they want to tell you in the United States. Get the certain papers or news channels that tell you exactly what somebody wants you to know, whether it's true or not. You had an example. For those of you who know, there's a television station in America that sits up and tell you everything that's opposite to what somebody else is saying. And all these others agree, and there's one opposite trying to tell you it's the truth. And what they have done is try to point the finger at everybody else and the people that they're pointing their fingers at, my friends, are not the culprit. It is they who are doing the pointing. So what am I saying? You can thank God that you are not in China or in Missouri or in Philadelphia or in New England. I mean, wherever the natural disasters are occurring, you're not there in the midst of it. You can thank God. But just think about this, ladies and gentlemen. There are people that are there. And if it were not them, it just might be you. So it's time to stop watching all this whole crazy stuff on TV. Yes, stuff on television is entertaining sometimes, and sometimes we need it. But we need to focus on not just us, but everybody. And I know you're saying our problems are so big, how can we have time to focus on somebody else? Then we need to deal with our problems and make our problems easier so we can have some time to think about other people. We got to take care of one another. We got to take care of people that are suffering in America, in Minnesota, in Mississippi, New York, all over this country where people are suffering. We got to take care of them. There's no God that's going to come down and do nothing for us that we don't do for ourselves. And when we take care of ourselves, then it helps us to prepare to take care of people in other places of the world if they don't know, so we can be a light that shines to them so they can get some understanding that their choices of ways of life is failing them just like ours have failed us, and we making a change. I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to live, you got to make a change. You got to make a change if you want to live. If you're tired of the hell that we have to go through every year, every 4 years, every 2 years, every day, if you're tired, we got to make a change. And I'm telling you, we got to make a change, because when one individual stands up and make a change, the only thing that really happens is a spiritual change for that one. But until society makes a change so the people can feel it, so we can feel it as we can touch it, then one might think that our living is in vain. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I want you to know that the group, the whole, starts with one. So if we want anything different in America, I'm talking about good stuff. I'm not talking about no crime. I'm not talking about hatred and racism. I'm talking about an end to that stuff. If we want it to end, then we got to make sure that people are in enjoyment with life. We got to make sure that people are satisfied. People didn't ask to come here. I don't think a single one of us on this planet asked to come here. I don't know, but I didn't ask to come here, I don't think. And since that, I don't believe you asked to come here. And here we are. Here we are. When we can smile and laugh, but we got pain on our faces. We're going through suffering, not joyous. And we're doing it to one another. We're letting people with mean intentions manipulate us. And we are jumping on the bandwagon hoping that this time we can get a piece. And to hell with everybody else. Ladies and gentlemen, haven't we learned? That game has been played and it's not a winning hand. It's time for us to wake up and think about others as well. And especially those of you who talk about a God. I know we've had a God that said it was okay to be a racist. We've had a God that said it was okay to be a bigot. We've had a God that says crime and violence is okay. I don't care as long as you get what you're looking for. Yes, we've had a God that says killing was okay. Slavery was okay. Yeah, we had that kind of God. We know that kind of God. We got that God. That God hasn't gone anywhere. That God is all over. But it's time we make a change. And they were trying to give us not too long ago a worse God. But I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, since you know we got a devil God, since you know they were trying to give us a worse God, then why don't we call on and give a manifestation to the real God that cares about me, the real God that cares about you, and the real God that's not going to turn his back on neither one of us. And we all become winners. Why don't we do that? Why don't we do that and stop talking about the past? The past is screwed. It ain't never been right. And now isn't right. Why are we dwelling on that which isn't right? Let's focus on that which is. Am I asking too much? Well, I mean, that's just the way it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Really, I really do want to thank you. But I don't want you to just be listening to me. I'm trying to get you motivated. I'm trying to fire you up and understand that we can be better. We can be better. We can do better. And yes, there are going to be those that turn your fever sky high every day. But you got control to keep it down. Keep it down. The devil in you wants to rise and meet that devil over there straight head on. But don't you do it. You're bigger than that. And let's us think of ways to make sure that every man, woman, and child got food and clothing and shelter in its greatest style, because we don't make no cheap stuff. You know what I mean? Let us make sure that we produce the best and give the best and be the best. I mean, that's all right with me. I'm willing. I'm willing. I ain't got too much. Well, I keep saying I'm dying, and I am. But we can change the world overnight. You don't think we can change the world overnight? Let me say something. If the Mississippi River and those rivers that run across this here place and that water from the coast, if something happened and all of a sudden that water decides to draw to the middle and all of us get conquered up in that stuff, don't you think we can, if the water goes back and some of us survive, don't you think we can still do something? So we can do something after the catastrophe. If we can do something after disaster, then we can prepare ourselves to do before. So maybe the troubles won't be so big. because we were ahead of the game. I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, let us think about making a change. I'm not talking about staying on the same path. I'm talking about making America, what I'm first saying, make ourselves better. Let us be better. And when we be better, teach ourselves, tell ourselves we're better, act better, do better, then we'll start seeing better things happen. So in order to start seeing better things happen around us, which is so essential, it's time for us to start being better now. All right? Thank you again, and good night.